Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Mariana if you're new here. I share a lot about motherhood, about non-toxic living, and a lot about Jesus. I have 2 videos up already and I will be uploading more every Monday, and I'm so happy you are here. Today I'm going to be talking about unconventional ways that I mother. This means these are things that don't look like something that you might see other mothers doing, but this is what has worked best for me, my daughter, and my family. As always, a few disclaimers. What I'm sharing about today is what works for me. I'm in no way attacking anybody if you do something differently and that works for you. I am sharing these things for somebody out there that might be wondering whether what they are doing is okay if it looks similar to what I am doing. And I'm also making this video for those who are wondering if they are the only ones that do something a certain way. Let's get into it. So, first thing is bed sharing. Me and my daughter have been bed sharing for 10 months already, and we love it. I love it so much. I get so much sleep. I wake up rested every single day. And I did not plan on bed sharing, actually. We got a crib and we bought a bassinet. I said that's so weird. Bassinet. And I was completely set on not bed sharing. I thought bed sharing was weird. And the first few nights, she would be nursing every 2-3 hours, and she still actually nurses every 3 hours at night. She doesn't get as much during the day anymore. Most of her intake is actually at night. And I would wake up every night and pick her up and nurse her and rock her and put her back to sleep every 2 hours. And this was so hard on me. It was so hard for my mental health, my emotional health. It was very hard. And my husband was actually the one that said, why don't you try bed sharing? Like, it might be easier, you might get some more sleep. And I told him several times, no, I'm not going to do that. That's weird and it seems unsafe. I don't want to do that. And boy, was he right. I started bed sharing and I ended up getting so much sleep at night. We would lay sideways, side lying, and she would wake up and my boob was just out there and she would eat and she would go back to sleep. And there were so many nights where I didn't even notice that, like, she woke up at 8 and she went back to sleep. I started getting sleep and I was so rested, and I think that's a lot what helped my mental sanity at the time. And I'm grateful to my husband for that. Bed sharing is safe if you do it safely. You can go online and you can research. La Leche League has great resources on safe bed sharing. There's a ton of other information online if you do a quick search on safe bed sharing. It can be done safely, and if you are in need of sleep, you are sleep deprived, I invite you to explore bed sharing and see if maybe that will be right for your family. We have been doing it for 10 months and we absolutely love it. The next thing is cloth diapers. So we cloth diaper most of the time. At home, we always cloth diaper. When we go out for longer trips, we actually use regular diapers. I found out about cloth diapering about a couple years ago, 3 years ago maybe, when a friend of mine mentioned that she was considering cloth diapering. I was like, that's so weird. The funny thing is, most of these things that I am sharing today, I've heard about them years ago and I thought they were weird. And then here I am doing these things and loving them. So never say never. That is very true for me. I decided to cloth diaper to save money. So we save a lot of money having cloth diapers. We also never have to worry about running out of diapers. And it's a great non-toxic solution for diapers. And lastly, there's so much waste that comes from diapers. Diapers take, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's like 500 years to decompose, or 700 or something like that. It's a ridiculous amount of time. It's crazy. And the amount of diapers that are thrown out yearly is insane. So all these factors pointed to the fact that we should cloth diaper. And we've been doing it, and I love it. It's not as hard as it may seem. It's really not. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. I have a very busy lifestyle, and I have time to cloth diaper. And and I also use cloth wipes. Cloth wipes are amazing. I know there's people out there that use disposable diapers, but they use cloth wipes. And it might take like 3-4 wipes to clean a poopy diaper, and with a cloth wipe it might take 1 or 2. So cloth wipes are really great. We love cloth diapering. Something that I didn't do since she was born is swaddling. For Selena, she was different. I never swaddled her from the very beginning. I know that a lot of families swaddle because it suppresses the moral reflex, where the baby gets startled and their arms fly up and they wake up and they're just startled. That wasn't that much of an issue for us. And I hated the idea of her just being scrunched up together without moving for hours and hours on end. That is probably the only reason why I didn't swaddle, is because that idea of, like I said, her being all tight in this swaddle, I don't know. Like, putting myself in her shoes, I don't know how I would feel about that. Anyway, that's why I didn't swaddle her, and she was completely fine. The moral reflex was never an issue for us. Maybe also because I used a sound machine for all her naps. Maybe that also helped it. But yeah, no, she was completely fine without being swaddled. I also never put any of those hand mittens on her, and I usually never put socks on her either. I just kept her fingernails short most of the time, and so she wouldn't really scratch herself. And I found that she always liked having like her hands by her face. Like, babies aren't able to tell us how something feels or how something doesn't feel. And I know for babies, it's very important for them to explore everything, to touch everything, different textures. It's very important for them from when they're born. They can't talk. This is how they're learning, and this is how they're connecting with this new environment that they've been born into. And so that's why I never put any mittens on her, and I never put any socks on her. I never swaddled her. I always just tried to have her be free, not restricted in any way. Movement is also so important from the moment that they are born. It's really important for them to move around and explore, and that's how they learn to roll, and that's how they learn to sit up and later on walk. All these little things lead up to that. And so that is why I didn't feel comfortable doing these things, and she's turned out really great. So if you swaddle, and if you put on mittens on your little baby, and if you put on socks, that is perfectly fine. That if that works for you, that's great. These are things that I didn't do, and it's worked really great for us, and I feel really good about that. I also never put shoes on her either. Other than like once or twice I did, because we went to the snow one time, and then I don't remember, but there was like once or twice that I had shoes on her. But usually I don't even put shoes on her. If it's warm outside, she'll just be barefoot. If it's cold, I'll have socks on her. But yeah, I didn't want shoes to restrict her foot movement as well. And I know a lot of shoes are made to look cute, and they're not practical for a baby's foot that is developing. Another thing that I did differently is I fed her on demand all day, all night. Whenever she wanted to eat, I would feed her, and I would nurse her to sleep, and I still do. I never used pacifiers. I tried to give her pacifier once and she wouldn't take it. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna even start. I know that the AAP, the American Academy of Pediatrics, they recommend only using a pacifier up to 3 months, and then after that, weaning them off the pacifier. But why I didn't use a pacifier? I didn't want to miss any of her cues for when she's hungry. I know that sometimes they comfort nurse. That's so hard to say. Comfort nurse. And that's okay for me. If she wants to use me as a pacifier or as a comfort nurse or as comfort nursing. Babies are still getting nutrients, and breast milk has incredible qualities. It's not only food, it's also medicine. And so I didn't mind if I was a pacifier for her, if I'm bringing her comfort. I've been waiting for so long to have a baby, and I wanted to spend this time with her. So I didn't want to miss any of her cues. I was afraid of her going hungry and me just putting a pacifier and she'll just miss out on those calories that she might be needing. And she had incredible growth from the moment that she was born. She was never underweight. She never had any weight gaining issues. She always was steadily gaining weight, right how she should be. So that's why I never used a pacifier. If she would ever cry, I would just nurse her. Any reason she's crying, I would just nurse her. I would nurse her to sleep for all her naps. I still nurse her to sleep for all her naps. And at night to put her to sleep, I'll nurse her. And like I said, because we bed share, I nurse her throughout the night. It's not a problem to me. Now she's 10 months and she nurses less than she did before. She probably nurses like 3 times a day, sometimes 4, and then a few times during the night. I know there's pediatricians out there that say that's spoiling your baby, that's gonna cause issues in the future with feeding, yada yada yada. We have not had any issues. She eats solids perfectly fine, and we've had such a phenomenal breastfeeding journey, and I'm so blessed to be able to say that we've had a great journey. It wasn't easy, but it is so good, and lately she's been eating less often, and it's just making me so sad because I don't want it to end. I don't want our breastfeeding journey to end. So another thing that I did differently is I started feeding her solids a little later than 6 months. I tried doing it at 6 months and she was gagging so much, and I know that it's normal. I know that it's normal for them to gag, but it was really hard for me to be able to feed her the foods that we eat. Because I didn't want to buy baby foods, and it's a lot of work to like make purees and all these things, and especially if you have a busy schedule. So I started feeding her a little later, around 8 months, and she eats so great. I started doing 1 meal a day, and then I did 2, and then now she eats 3 times a day. And she eats what we eat. I don't buy anything special for her. I don't prepare anything specially for her other than I don't put salt in the foods that she eats. I cook it without salt, and then I'll put out her portion, and then I'll add salt in. But she eats everything that we eat, and that motivates me to make healthy meals for us so that she's able to eat everything. And it's a lot easier. It's easier on our budget, and it's easier. I don't have to prepare 2 separate meals. I prepare one for everybody, and everybody eats it. And once I started feeding her at 8 months, she's had no gagging issues. She's had no problems with eating. She just eats everything, and everything is completely fine. She has no problems eating anything. She's not picky. She literally eats everything. Like, we've given her so many different types of vegetables and fruits and meats and fish, and she eats everything without an issue. And I only started feeding her about 2 months ago. She's 10 months now. So I know that they say that iron starts to deplete around 6 months. I just make sure that I consume iron-rich foods. I also cook on cast iron, so I get extra iron from that as well. And I breastfeed her on demand. So I felt comfortable not starting solids until later on, around 8 months. If you don't feel comfortable feeding your baby as early as 6 months, that's okay. Give it some time. start at 7 months, see how it goes. If not, start at 8 months and see how it goes. Like the saying goes, before one, solids are just for fun. So breast milk and formula is a priority before one. You don't have to worry about creating extravagant meals for your child certain times every day, however many times a day. You don't have to worry about that. But the next thing is for her naps. I know that a lot of people like would black out the room for their naps. I didn't do that. I would close our blinds so it's like not completely like bright from the sunshine pouring in, but it's not dark in the room. So from the moment that she was born, she never had any day-night confusion. She always knew the daytime is for naps and the nighttime is for long periods of time. And I'm so grateful that we didn't have issues with that. But during the daytime, I never blacked out the room. It was still light in the room and she would nap completely fine. I would have the sound machine on. And then at nighttime, our sound machine is off and it's dark in the room and she knows it's nighttime and she sleeps for long periods of time. So I don't know if that contributed to her not having day-night confusion, but it's worked well with us for not doing anything special during the day. Just having her understand that it's daytime, it's bright, it's loud, and then nighttime it's quiet and it's dark. So that's worked great for us. Lastly is, and I'm probably going to remember like random things that I forgot to say. If I ever forget to say anything, I'm always going to put it in the description bar so you can read it there. And I will always link anything that I talk about there as well. And lastly, if you listen to my birth story, you know that I've adopted more of a non-toxic lifestyle. And I've also taken that approach when it comes to medicine and whatnot. When it comes to how I treat our colds and I treat our flus and fevers or whatnot, it's different. I used to just take a bunch of Dayquil and NyQuil, and my husband used to take Theraflu for a week or 2 weeks. I've been able to educate myself from doing so much reading on how to gently and holistically be able to fight a fever or a cold, where I feel comfortable using more natural methods, and they work for me and they work for us. So I strongly suggest, for everything that I've shared today, bed sharing, cloth diapering, the ways that you nurse, the ways that you feed your baby, taking naps, how you help heal your baby, all of these things come from listening to different perspectives that people have on these things, reading different perspectives, and trying out several things and seeing what works best for you and your family. There is no one size fits all to parenting. And that's what I've come to learn, because like I said before, there were so many things that I said I was not going to do that way because it seemed weird. And then I got a baby and now I'm doing things exactly how I said I wasn't going to do them because it works so well for us. If there's anything that encourages you out of this video, it's find what works for you and your family and stick with it. Do not let anybody else sway you away from that because they think it's weird or it's wrong or it's dangerous or whatever their opinion is. It doesn't matter as long as it works for you and your family and that it's safe for your child. So I hope that you find some encouragement here. If any of this resonated with you, please let me know down below so I know I'm not the only one. If you are pregnant and you're expecting a baby anytime soon, have an open mind when it comes to these things. So that way, if you have to change a decision that you made previously, so you don't feel bad to do it, or so you feel comfortable making changes so it works for your family. Educate yourself, read different opinions, read different perspectives, read different ways to do different things, and so you have a toolbox of different ways that you can do things, not just one way. I hope you found something here that encourages you, and I am so glad that you were here, and I am so grateful that I've been able to share all of these things with you. I feel very vulnerable sharing these things because I know a lot of them might be controversial or weird, as I used to think, but if this helps one person feel validated in the choices that they have made and are doing, then it's worth it for me. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week on Monday. Bye. Okay, and I'm sure you guys want an up close of my puppy. We just got her this week. Her name is Kira, Kira. She is 8 weeks old. She's a Caucasian Shepherd, and she's our new family member.